They told you Maat was the goddess of justice, a woman with a feather on her head, a minor figure in a complex pantheon. They showed you her feather being weighed against the human heart and told you it was a story about being a good person so you could get into the afterlife. But that is a lie. A simplification so profound it is one of the greatest spiritual thefts in human history. Maat is not a goddess. She is the operating system of the universe. She is not a deity who enforces rules. She is the rules themselves. The law of gravity does not judge you for falling. It is simply the law. Maat is the law of cosmic gravity for your soul. She is the fundamental principle of truth, balance, order, and reality that underpins all of creation. And the feather is not a test of your morality. It is a measure of your frequency. The systems that control this world needed to hide the truth of Maat. They needed you to believe that truth is relative, that order is man-made, and that balance is a matter of opinion. They turned the universal law into a forgotten goddess because a population that does not know the rules of reality is a population that can be easily cheated, manipulated, and controlled. But you can feel her absence. You feel it in the chaos of the world, in the dissonance of your own heart, in the deep, aching longing for a truth that feels real and unshakable. That longing is Maat, calling you back into alignment. This is not a lesson in mythology. This is the revelation of the hidden physics of your own existence. To grasp the sheer scale of Maat, you must understand what makes her unique among all the gods. She has no creation story. She was not born from another deity. She was not fashioned from the clay of the earth. In the ancient texts, it is said she has existed with the creator god Ra from the very beginning. She is his daughter, but also his partner. She is the principle through which he creates. This is a staggering metaphysical statement. It means that truth, order, and balance are not concepts that were invented by humans or gods. They are primal, uncreated, fundamental forces woven into the very fabric of existence. The universe was not created first, and then order was imposed upon it. The universe was created through the law of order. Maat is the divine architecture of reality. This is why they turned her into a personified goddess. By giving her a face and a name, they made her seem like just another character in a story, someone you could choose to believe in or not. But you don't believe in gravity. You live within it, and you don't believe in Maat. You are living within her laws right now, whether you acknowledge them or not. She is the baseline frequency of the cosmos. Everything, from the perfect orbit of the stars to the sacred geometry of a snowflake to the ethical choices you make in your daily life, is either in alignment with her frequency or in dissonance with it. You are either creating harmony or you are creating chaos. There is no third option. This is the invisible goddess, the one whose presence is so total and so fundamental that, like the air you breathe, you have been conditioned not to see her at all. The entire purpose of the ancient Egyptian spiritual path was not to worship gods, but to learn how to live in a state of Maat, to become a walking embodiment of truth, balance, and cosmic harmony. This is a path far more demanding and far more empowering than simply following a set of rules out of fear. It is the path of conscious alignment with the very nature of reality. And it is a path they have tried to hide from you because a person who lives in Maat becomes a force of nature themselves, calm, clear, incorruptible, and sovereign. Some universal laws are too profound for a world that thrives on chaos. The deeper physics of balance and the mechanics of karma are what we explore in our free newsletter, Insights Academy. To learn the principles that govern reality itself, Sign up with the link in the description. A free copy of the Kybalion, the key to Hermetic law, will be yours while this opportunity lasts. The most famous scene in which Maat appears is the weighing of the heart. This image has been burned into the collective psyche, but its true meaning has been almost entirely lost. You have been shown a scene of judgment, with Anubis as the guide and Osiris as the king of the underworld. But the central figure, the one upon which the entire process depends, is Maat in the form of her single ostrich feather. The ceremony should not be called the judgment of the dead. It should be called the measurement of a life. And Maat is the standard of measurement. The feather of truth is not a test of moral perfection. The ancient Egyptians were not naive. They knew that humans were flawed, that they made mistakes. The feather does not ask, "Were you a sinless saint?" It asks something far more profound. It asks, "Were you true?" It is a measure of your weight, your spiritual density. It is a vibrational test. Does the frequency of your heart, the sum total of the intentions and actions of your entire life, resonate in harmony with the frequency of cosmic truth? A heavy heart is not an evil heart. It is a heart weighed down by the dissonance of a life lived out of alignment. It is heavy with the burden of lies, with the density of deceit, with the discord of cruelty, with the friction of actions that went against your own inner knowing. A light heart is one that has lived in integrity, a heart that is free from the weight of self-betrayal. This is not about good versus evil. It is about harmony versus dissonance. It is pure physics. To guide the soul in this endeavor, the ancients had the 42 negative confessions, which the deceased would recite in the Hall of Truth. These are statements like, "I have not lied, I have not stolen, I have not caused pain, I have not been deaf to the words of truth." You have been taught to see these as commandments, like the 10 Commandments, a list of rules to be obeyed out of fear of punishment. But that is a complete misreading. These were not commandments. They were a checklist for a light heart. They were a spiritual guide for how to live your life in a state of Maat, so that when you arrived at the scales, your confession was not a desperate plea, but a simple statement of fact. And you do not have to wait for death to know how you are doing. You have your own personal feather of Maat within you right now. It is your conscience. It is your intuition. It is that deep, quiet, inner knowing that tells you when you are in alignment and when you are not. That feeling of peace, of lightness, of rightness that comes when you speak your truth or act with integrity. That is the feeling of your heart being as light as a feather. That heavy, churning, dissonant feeling you get in your gut when you lie, when you deceive, when you act out of fear or greed. That is the feeling of your heart gathering weight. The final judgment is not a surprise event. Your soul is keeping a running tally in real time. Maat is not a distant goddess who will judge you one day. She is the living feedback system of the universe, and she is speaking to you in every single moment through the very feelings of your own heart. The truth of Maat extends far beyond the human heart. She is the architect of all reality. Her title, Daughter of Ra, is not a statement of lineage. It is a statement of function. It means she is the direct, active expression of the Creator's mind. When Ra brought the universe into being, he did so through the principle of Maat. The laws of physics that govern the cosmos, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, are all expressions of Maat. They are the principles of order and balance that allow a structured universe to exist instead of a formless chaos. The precise, predictable orbits of the stars and planets, the perfect geometry of crystals, the cyclical rhythms of the seasons. This is all Maat in action. She is the divine mathematics, the sacred geometry, the cosmic symphony playing out across all scales of existence. This is why the gods themselves were said to live on Maat. This is a profound and radical statement that shatters the foundation of most religious thought. It means that even the gods are not above the law. They are subject to the same principle of cosmic balance as everyone else. They feed on truth, order, and harmony. When a divine being acts out of alignment with Maat, they too suffer the consequences. They weaken, they fall into dissonance. This is a direct refutation of the idea of gods as arbitrary, emotional, and tyrannical rulers who can do as they please. In the Egyptian system, ultimate power does not lie with the strongest god. It lies with the principle of truth itself. This understanding formed the very core of Egyptian society. The primary, most sacred duty of the pharaoh was not to build great monuments or conquer foreign lands. It was to uphold Maat on earth. He was the vessel, the human conduit, responsible for ensuring that human society mirrored the divine order of the cosmos. His every decision, every law, every ritual was judged by one standard. Does this maintain or restore Maat? If the kingdom prospered, if the Nile flooded predictably, if the people were just, it was because the pharaoh was successfully channeling the principle of cosmic harmony. If the kingdom fell into famine, drought, or civil war, it was seen as his personal failure to live in Maat. This is a level of responsibility almost unimaginable to modern leaders. And what was the opposite of Maat? It was a force the Egyptians called Isfet. Isfet is not evil in the moralistic sense. It is not a devil or a demonic force. Isfet is simply chaos, lies, disorder, and injustice. It is the natural state of things when they fall out of alignment with the cosmic law. Isfet is the entropy that pulls structures back into dissolution. It is the dissonance that arises from a lie. It is the suffering that comes from an unbalanced life. The entire human experience, for the ancients, was a constant, conscious choice in every moment between acting in a way that generates Maat or acting in a way that generates Isfet. You are not fighting a battle between good and evil. You are making a choice between harmony and dissonance, between truth and illusion, between order and chaos. And the universe simply reflects the consequences of your choice back to you with perfect, impersonal precision. If an entire civilization, one of the most advanced and long-lasting in human history, was built upon the fundamental principle of cosmic truth and order, where did it go? Why do we now live in a world that seems to be drowning in its opposite, Isfet? Because the very idea of a single, universal, underlying truth is a threat to any system that seeks to control reality for its own benefit. The suppression of Maat was a necessary prerequisite for the world of chaos we now inhabit. The modern systems of control, political, corporate, and social, thrive in a state of Isfet. They benefit from division, confusion, and a population that has no firm anchor of truth. A society that believes truth is relative, that order is arbitrary, and that there are no universal laws is a society that is easy to manipulate. The very concept of Maat had to be ridiculed, dismissed as primitive, and erased. The first step in this erasure was to replace universal law with man-made law. Maat teaches that truth and justice are inherent in the fabric of the cosmos. You don't need a king or a priest to tell you what is right. You can know it by aligning with your own inner sense of harmony. The new systems of power inverted this. They declared that law was not cosmic. It was something handed down from an external authority. A king, a church, a government. You were taught to stop looking inward for your moral compass and to start looking outward for a rule book. Your own conscience was rendered irrelevant. Obedience to the external authority became the highest virtue. The second and more insidious step was the trivialization of truth itself. In the modern and postmodern world, we have been sold the ultimate lie of Isfet, that truth is subjective, that it is a matter of personal opinion, cultural perspective, or political convenience. My truth, your truth. This way of thinking is the victory of chaos. When there is no objective standard, no cosmic baseline, no Maat, then anything can be justified. Lies can be packaged as alternative facts. Destructive behavior can be framed as personal expression. Chaos can be sold as freedom. This relativistic fog is the perfect environment for manipulation. Without the anchor of Maat, the human mind is set adrift, tossed about by the changing tides of propaganda and social pressure. And the consequences are the world you see around you, a world drowning in the energy of Isfet, political systems that thrive on division and lies, media landscapes that profit from fear and outrage, social structures that promote competition and isolation, an economic system that creates grotesque imbalance, an environment pushed to the brink of collapse. This is not a series of unfortunate accidents. This is the predictable result of a civilization that has collectively forgotten the fundamental principle of cosmic harmony. We have built a world that is in direct violation of universal law, and we are now experiencing the inevitable dissonant feedback. But the law itself has not gone away. Maat is patient. She is simply waiting for us to remember that the path out of the chaos of Isfet has always been the same. A return to truth, a return to balance, a return to her. So, how do you escape the chaos of Isfet and begin to live in alignment with Maat in a world that seems to be pulling you in the opposite direction? You do not start by trying to change the world. You start by changing yourself. You become a living, breathing island of Maat in an ocean of chaos. The path begins with the practice of radical honesty. First, and most importantly, with yourself. You must stop the small lies you tell yourself, the convenient self-deceptions, the narratives you cling to that keep you from seeing the truth of your own life. Are you truly happy in that job? Is that relationship truly nurturing? Are you living in alignment with your own deepest values? This level of self-inquiry is terrifying because the truth often demands change, but without it, your heart will remain heavy. Then, you extend this honesty to others. You speak your truth with compassion, but without compromise. You stop saying yes when your soul means no. Next, you must embrace right action. Maat is not a passive state of being. She is an active principle. It means making conscious choices every single day that promote balance and harmony, not just for yourself, but for the whole. This applies to everything. The food you eat, the products you buy, the work you do, the way you treat others. Each choice is a vote. Is this choice creating more harmony or more dissonance? Is it aligned with truth and justice, or is it contributing to the chaos? Living in Maat requires a profound level of mindfulness and awareness that every action, no matter how small, sends a ripple out into the cosmos. To do this, you must cultivate stillness. The voice of Maat, the feeling of your own inner feather, is quiet. The world of Isfet is loud, chaotic, and endlessly distracting. To hear the signal of truth, you must learn to tune out the noise. This is the purpose of meditation, of spending time in nature, of consciously disconnecting from the relentless stream of information and stimulation. In the silence, you begin to feel the baseline frequency of the universe again. You begin to feel your own center. From that place of stillness, you can make choices not from reaction or fear, but from a place of deep, grounded alignment. And this leads to the ultimate realization of the path. You are your own judge. The final judgment is not an event that happens after you die. It is a constant, real-time feedback loop. Your life is the hall of truth. Your reality is the scale. Your health, your relationships, your peace of mind. These are the readouts that tell you how heavy or how light your heart is. If your life is filled with chaos and suffering, the universe is not punishing you. It is lovingly showing you where you are out of balance. It is inviting you in every moment to make a new choice, to lighten your heart, to return to Maat. A global shift is happening. A great awakening of conscience. The relentless demand for transparency, for authenticity, for social justice, for environmental balance that you see rising all over the world. That is the return of Maat consciousness. Humanity is growing tired of living in Isfet. The collective soul is crying out for truth, for order, for harmony, and you are a part of that cry. To embody Maat in this time is to become the standard. To become the feather yourself. It is to live with such unwavering integrity, such profound inner balance, that your very presence becomes a harmonizing force in the world. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convert anyone. You simply live your truth so purely that it exposes the lies around you. You become a walking, talking demonstration that another way of being is possible. Maat is not a goddess on a distant throne. She is the very nature of reality, calling you to come home to yourself. The choice is simple, and it is offered to you in every breath. Balance or be judged. Not by a wrathful God, but by the perfect, impersonal, and infallible laws of the universe you inhabit. The path to a life of lightness, grace, and power is the path of truth. The deeper laws of the cosmos are not hidden. They are simply waiting for those with the clarity to see them. If you are ready to master these principles, our newsletter, Insights Academy, is where the real work begins. The link is in the description. Join us and receive your free copy of the Kybalion. The feather is waiting. Your heart is on the scale. What do you choose? If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting. I understood it.